walked that day across the moor, but the path soon merged to grey. A stormy night up high encroached, with lashing rain and heavy thunder. 'Tis with that hidden path and frenzied fright that hope soon began to drift away. With booming sky and broken twig she falls. Then the cries of hounds she hears, not in her distant future. For souls they come to take. They are the hounds of Cwn Annun. It is said that she still walks the moors of Bodmin to this day, still searching. But be aware a stormy night when you meet and hear the hounds of Cwn Annun. So the Cwn Annun, or the Hounds of Hell, come to us from Welsh mythology. Cwn means dogs, and Annun, or Annwn, in an older pronunciation means the underworld. So these were the dogs of the underworld. And of course, in a post-Christian era, the underworld, well, that meant hell. But Annwn wasn't the Christian hell. It was a land of happiness and bliss. It was a place where nobody ever got sick, nobody grew old, and it was a land of plenty, and some called it the never-ending Summerland. The first place people usually come across the Cwn Annun is in the first branch of the Mabinogion. So we're told that Arawn, who is king of the underworld, leads a pack of dogs, and these dogs are described as being white, in fact shining white, with red ears, and as much as their white coats shone, so did their red ears glisten. And these colours are significant, because red was the colour of death and white the colour of divinity. And within these ancient narratives, whenever we see an animal that is white and has red-tipped ears, it's a clear sign that these animals are animals from the Otherworld. But we also see the Cwn Annun associated with another mythological figure, Gwyn Ap Nudd. And Gwyn's a very interesting figure that we come across in many of the old narratives. In particular, in the Black Book of Carmarthen, he's portrayed as a warrior with a blackened face. And he's the psychopomp god that comes to collect the souls of the dying from the battlefields. Now, Gwyn and Arawn may well be the same figure. The debate is still open on that, but they share many of the same characteristics. They're both gods of the underworld and seen as kings and lords of the underworld. And they're both leaders of the Cwn Annun. Now with Arawn, he uses the hounds for hunting. They are clearly the otherworldly hounds. But with Gwyn, he uses these hounds in his role as a psychopomp to trace and track down the souls of the dying. And mythology tells us that if ever you were to hear these hounds coming towards you, then it was an imminent sign of death. And it's said that you'll know that it's the Cwn Annun because The cries and the howls of the hounds are so blood-curdling, but as they get closer and closer, the growls and howls become softer and softer. And I suppose as death approaches, you drift away. In some ways, they're very similar to the Gaelic Banshee. They're both otherworldly figures, and of the Gaelic Banshee, it's said that when you heard the cries and screams of the Banshee, then it was a sign of imminent death. And so it is for the Cwn Annun. When you heard those blood-curdling cries and those howls, you knew it was a sign of your death. So I just want to read a small extract, that describes the howls of the Cwn Annun. They made a blood-curdling baying which put the fear of death into all who heard it, which is not surprising, for it portended death. All normal dogs stopped barking and raced back to their kennels. The birds were silent in the groves as soon as they heard the fairy dogs baying, and as they approached, the owl itself was silent. When the terrible howl of the hellhounds was heard, all fell silent in the house. Young people ceased laughing, and all talk around the fireside came to an abrupt end. So, that's the Cwn Annun for you. The hounds that are associated with Gwyn Ap Nudd, who comes to guide you over to the other world. So, if you've enjoyed today's episode, then give us a thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed already, subscribe to the channel. And with that, I'll see you again in another 2 weeks on the next one.